What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today, episode 25. We are a quarter of the way to 100. It is great to see everybody already in the chat. James, how you feeling, man?
Good, man. Good to be here. My background is like the jungle, and I touched something, and I don't know what I did.
It's all right.
But it's good to be here.
It's a summer vibe. I dig it. Yes, Kyle. Welcome to the chat, my man. It's good to see you. James is coming to us live from the forest somewhere. That's correct. Well, actually, James was on vacation, and that's why the channel is going to be a little bit, quiet in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be going on vacation myself. So as we go into the last 3 weeks of the true off-season grind here, guys, we're only 3 weeks away from training camp. We will be getting right back into it as soon as training camp hits. We were talking about it before we started. We're just super, super excited. I mean, I know it's kind of obvious to say it, but we're really fired up about this season. Can't wait to, just do it, to do everything. Preseason games, talk about the games, after they happen, the post-game stuff. Hey, Manny C., first time writing. Dude, I appreciate you coming in and doing that. Really appreciate that. Whoops, my sound effect's working. There we go. Great to see you in the chat, my man. Thanks for tuning in. So let's not waste any time. There's a funny comment. Sorry. James in the Cabbage Patch. We won't waste any time here, guys. So go ahead, and while we're kind of getting geared up here, we are going to be doing a Mekhi Becton film breakdown tonight. James is obviously going to lead that one. And then we're also going to do a Morgan Moses film breakdown as well. Jeremy Chrebet, welcome. Good to see you, my man. James, Gitmo Bob, excuse me. Go ahead and start thinking about some of your questions that you guys have for James in regards to Becton, in regards to Morgan Moses. I do want you guys to be a part of the conversation. I'll kind of interrupt James every once in a while here and there, but pretty much I'm just going to let him roll. So just feel free to interject whenever you guys feel like you need to do that. Happy to have you guys here. And so anything that's on your mind currently with the Jets, we're going to talk a lot about the offensive line tonight, but anything in regards to just the team overall that you're thinking about right now, James, as we creep up to training camp.
Yeah, obviously the big news, and I don't think I've been on here since, but the Morgan Moses signing happened, I think maybe even a couple days after I was on here the last time. So that's kind of been the big news, because it feels like it's coming together, right? It feels like it's kind of coming together, and Morgan Moses we'll talk about kind of the technical stuff, but why I'm really excited about him is he's such a durable player, right? He's reliable. He hasn't missed a game since his rookie year in 2014, and he's been playing, I think 92% or 95% of the snaps over the last 6 years for the Washington, not the Redskins, the football team.
Yep.
Still can't get used to that, but
neither can I.
He's a he's powerful, but most of all, he's reliable in the sense that, we got the rookie quarterback back there. He's going to need all the help that he can kind of get in this new offense, and to have that veteran presence in there, I think it's going to kind of have a ripple effect across the offensive line, but also it gives the Jets so much flexibility, right? I know we kind of talked about maybe him moving inside to guard, but I think that was just kind of a way to try to get as many people or include George Fant, because people think he's such a good fit for this run scheme on offense. But listen, we can have George Fant out there next to Morgan Moses as, kind of a sixth offensive lineman. He did it in Seattle. So it just gives the Jets a ton of flexibility to put as many offensive linemen out there and pound the rock. They're kind of those offensive linemen. Mekhi Becton's one of them, where you can tell the defense is coming, and you're still going to have a hard time stopping him with the size he has. So really, I think it's the offensive line right now that's getting everybody excited, because it kind of feels like we're finally getting there with having a formidable offensive line that can allow everyone else to do what they do best.
Yep. And that is the topic of the night, is offensive line. And we talk about it all the time on the channel, the line of scrimmage. I got a new face in the chat. Frankie from Flatbush, it is great to see you. Thanks for tuning in to the show. I think this is your first time doing so thank you for tuning in. He says the Washingtonians. Washingtonians. Yeah, I feel like they do need a name. I don't want to get sidetracked here, but I feel like the Washington football team just needs like an identity. I don't think the football team is a true identity, and again, they're going to have a fine season. I actually really like the football team this coming season. I think they have some things that I like about the team specifically. They have really good weapons, I think, for Ryan Fitzpatrick or who's the other? Didn't they get another guy at quarterback? I can't remember who. Maybe they don't. I don't even know.
Tyler Heineke played the playoff game for them, and they signed him to like a really short deal for not much money. But
yeah, decent weapons there, and their pass rush, I mean, we could go on and on for them. They've got a ton, and they've invested first rounder after first rounder into that line. So I think Washington's defense is legit and for real. I think that they could potentially, they won the NFC East last year. I think that they could win close to double-digit games this season, not have a losing record going into the playoffs kind of situation again. So anyway, didn't want to get sidetracked. I just let myself get sidetracked anyway. But we'll go ahead and we will get into the first topic of the night, and that is going to be the offensive line chemistry. So we will break down Becton after this, guys. So if you really want to watch, some domination at the line of scrimmage and the film breakdown, stay tuned for that. This will be the first question and the first topic of the night. So what do you think is a realistic time frame for an offensive line to gel? I think some people would argue that it takes, a full season to really get like a cohesive unit and to really understand what the guy next to you is going to do in certain looks and so on and so forth. We'll just start right there. What do you think is a realistic time frame to build, even if it's not, 100% perfect chemistry? What's a reasonable time frame to expect this offensive line to gel? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I think kind of to start, we're going to have a preseason this year, so that's going to help. I mean, obviously they're not going to play every single snap of every single preseason game. They'll probably play two games, the second one being like the simulated game where they probably play the first half, and then the first one they'll play a series or two. So there'll be some there. And you think, Becton's there from last year, and then Connor McGovern for me is going to be the center. And then if Van Rotten wins the job as the right guard, so you kind of at least have three pieces in there. I think the two new pieces will be Elijah Vera-Tucker and obviously Morgan Moses. But I think a realistic time, and I saw this question on Twitter where do you think the Jets offensive line can rank by the end of the year? And so I actually have them like the first half of the year probably being somewhere in the mid-20s or so, and then taking off after that first half of the year. And then maybe winding up as 16 or 17 in that middle of the pack range. And so that's where I think maybe that middle of the season, they can get a lot better. And then I think in 2022, they can kind of take off from there.
Okay, great. I kind of see it the same way, which is a boring take, but I think that that's maybe one of the things that people are overlooking. A lot of people with their crazy takes on Twitter, no offense to anybody that has takes on Twitter, but there's a lot of people making bold proclamations for the offense in general, and I just think that we need to see the offensive line play and show that they can do it together before we can really get crazy and suggest certain statistics. But having said that, though, I'm with you. I feel very, very confident in this group. I think that Joe Douglas has put together a really great offensive line, considering he's had to do it both ways. He's had to, go to the draft. He's had to go through free agency. And then if you just think back to what we were 2 years ago, it's night and day. So he really has just flipped the script with this offensive line, I would say.
Yeah, and I think the coaching, too, is like a big aspect. Like, I think you're going to see certain guys take a little bit of an extra step, not, being that, Adam Gase is not the head coach, and, not to single him out, it was probably a bunch of, the staff wasn't very good altogether. But the offensive line coach, John Benton, he's coming over from San Francisco, where he kind of transformed their offensive line there since 2017, and he's been an offensive line coach for 33 years, I think it is. And he knows the ins and outs of this offense, this scheme. He's also the run game coordinator. And I think that's probably because Mike LaFleur was the passing game coordinator in San Francisco. So you bring over the offensive line coach, and he'll also take over the run game, coordination duty. So I think his direction is also going to maybe help them gel a little bit faster than I think they would if maybe we had somebody else or still had the old coaching staff in place. Okay,
cool. I'll ask you another question. It's kind of twofold. Who do you think will be the starting right guard? Come, and I think you mentioned Van Roten earlier. Do you think it's important to name that starter or to identify that guy sooner rather than later, like not waiting until kind of like what you would see with a quarterback, how they announce, if there was a quarterback competition, they would announce the starter, probably like that third preseason game or even the fourth preseason game. Some cases they even wait till week 1. Right. What are you thinking as far in terms of the, identifying who that guy is? Because I think that they should, in my opinion, they should try to get that figured out quickly.
Yeah, so the right guard is the mystery spot, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody kind of knows what's going to happen there. Or, I mean, I guess we kind of know, right? I think there's 3 options. I think there's Greg Van Roten, who saw a pretty significant time, and now Gumball 3D kind of went where I was going to go in. Cameron Clark is probably going to be an option in terms of, he has to kind of fit somewhere, right? It's not going to be left guard or left tackle, which I believe he played on the left side in college. But maybe a right guard spot. We don't know what he is like at all.
I know.
Right? We didn't get to see a snap in preseason last year, so it's going to be a thing where, does he have a good training camp and then he makes that step in preseason and they give him a shot? And then I think the last piece is Alex Lewis, who a lot of people wanted to kind of cut over free agency because people want to save as much money as they can in free agency to get to get their wish list of players. But he kind of had his struggles last year. I think both on and off the field. I think he also had some personal things going on in his life. So hopefully all of that is better for him as a person. But in terms of the right guard spot, I think Greg Van Roten right now offers the most. I don't want to say experience, but he's been there before, and we kind of know, I think, what we're getting. It's not great, but again, can he take maybe that next step? Now he's going to be playing next to a Morgan Moses and a probably improved and more healthy Connor McGovern. Does that help elevate his play? So I think you're right. It's important to kind of get that starter in place early so that you can form that chemistry. But my interesting kind of thought process is don't just kind of put Cam Clark to the side. If he can win the job and he's playing well, give him the chance to kind of do that and compete.
Okay, great. There's a lot. I mean, the chat it's going too fast. Anyways, guys, continue to do so. I am going to take a moment here to catch up on some of your comments. Welcome to the stream, Braden. He says that it's his first time joining us live, so welcome, dude. Really appreciate you coming in, checking, and hanging out with us. So there were a couple of comments that I highlighted. So I'm just going to quickly go through those. This is from back from when we were talking about the football team. Fitzmagic has played in 0 playoff games so far, which is pretty miraculous if you think about his career, how long he's played, all the teams he's played on. I think this is his year, though. I think Fitzmagic gets to the playoffs. I'm going to predict that one. Johnny mentioned Moses. Can he move inside to guard, allowing Fant to remain at right tackle? I think we already got our answer on that one. I think the Jets are going to keep him at right tackle, and I'm saying Moses, I'm not worried about Fant necessarily. I think Fant's going to be the backup swing tackle, the guy who can come in as a 6th offensive lineman, like you mentioned, James. By keeping Fant as a tackle and by keeping Moses as a tackle, you are allowing yourself the situation where if one of these offensive linemen goes down, the offensive tackle, specifically Becton or Moses, you're not going to have to reshuffle the entire offensive line. And that's what would happen if you had Moses go to guard and then Fant playing tackle. If Fant goes down, you're going to have to move Moses from guard to tackle, and it's just a big mess. And in my opinion, I think this is the right move. I mean, if you guys disagree with me, feel free to let me know. But I just think that for the chemistry of the offensive line, you've got to keep these guys pretty much locked in. Like if you have multiple guys go down, then yes, of course, feel free to shuffle the offensive line. You're just trying to survive at that point. But there's no reason, I think. Oh, Lordy, got a call. Let's see if we can get this one on. Let me take off my headphones. Hold on. This is a rigmarole here. Let's see. Can you hear me, James?
Yep.
Jeremy. To accept, press 1. To send a voice, okay. I sent the colored voicemail. Goodbye.
I don't understand this voicemail thing. It doesn't make any sense. I hit 1. It said if you want to accept the phone call, hit 1. Let's try that one more time. It's so ridiculous. I never understand that. Oh, Lord. That's the other thing. I'm having technical difficulties with my streaming service as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's not for the live stream. It's just something else. But anyway, Jeremy, sorry. I don't know what the hell's going on with my phone. I promise you I hit 1 to accept your call. Anyway, we were talking about Moses and Fant. Somebody just hit the down button. Yeah, guys, working on the technical things. Don't leave me quite yet. Let's see. Steve Angle says, you must be young because we haven't won shit. Because Namath sold his soul to the Devils and we haven't won shit since he guaranteed something and won it. Yep. All right. And then the last comment here I want to get to, Manny C. He says, I think he was saying Becton. Looks great. Have you seen the video of him working out? Yeah. The dude looks like he is in premium shape. Just absolutely looks like he's ready to slaughter people this season. Did not look to be overweight at all. My worries, my concerns have been alleviated by seeing him being in such great shape. So I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing him on the field this season. I think that, whatever his foot injury was, I think he's going to shake it off just fine. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Chemistry, offensive line. Let's see. We talked about right guard. So yeah, we'll move on. We'll go to the Becton film breakdown. Let's see. We go to my next scene here. Bada bing, bada boom. Got to pause it. Okay. So James, you tell me what to do here, and I will do it.
Yeah.
It's your spot right now.
All right. So we're looking at Mekhi Becton here, who, in terms of what he looks like, his physique, I think as long as he's on the Jets playing left tackle, we're going to be dealing with those off-season. What does Mekhi Becton look like? Because he's a mountain of a man. I mean, he's 6'7", 365. You're not going to look chiseled at that size. He's not going to be looking like Aaron Donald or anybody. He's just a bigger dude. And so I think in terms of his size, we'll be kind of dealing with those for as long as he's on the Jets. That's just going to be the nature of it. But looks great, and looks even better when he plays football. And so I kind of want – usually I do like the highlight stuff at the end, but I kind of wanted to get this one not out of the way, but I wanted just to kind of show, the sheer strength that Mekhi Becton has. He's a people mover. And they're not small people that he's moving. These are professional athletes that he's moving. And disclaimer on this play, Le'Veon Bell gets tackled for a loss, but it's not due to the fault of Mekhi Becton because it's going to be a run right, so to our left, so the opposite side of Mekhi Becton. And what Becton's going to have to do is he's going to down block So which means his responsibility is the defensive tackle that's playing the 2-eye technique over the left guard. And then the left guard has to get up to the linebacker. So it's a run right. I don't want you guys to really focus on the play because Le'Veon Bell, common occurrence for the Jets here to have a play that results in a negative loss. But if you just play it here, John, I put it in slow motion. And Becton's just going to down block, and he's just going to put the defensive tackle right on his ass. Can I curse?
Oh
his
yeah,
ass?
we curse. Yeah. We like to curse on.
Okay.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
this
this is what you kind of call pancake, right? Or just really manhandling this guy here. He's got his left arm, and 99 looks like he wants out, right? He doesn't want to play no more. And he kind of just tosses him just kind of like a human ragdoll. I think I looked it up. That guy is about 285 pounds or so. And Becton's kind of making him look like a safety just came down into the box, and he took care of a safety. So kind of just the sheer strength is the first thing that kind of points out, or stands out to you about Mekhi Becton. And I wanted to add the first two in his rookie debut, right? Because this is just mere plays into his NFL career. And he's kind of immediately showing off, okay, physically, I'm going to be able to hang with anybody. It's just going to be, can we get him to be a little bit more technically sound, which we'll see kind of later on. But if you go over to the next play, and I only showed the end zone view here just because it's kind of unnecessary to show Le'Veon Bell getting tackled for a loss from the sideline view. But here, so this is going to be a pass protection play. Mekhi Becton, left tackle. And so what the defensive line is going to do, and I'll point you to the defensive end and the defensive tackle that are on the left side of the line. So what they're going to do is they're going to do a stunt. And the stunt they're going to do is what I know to be an exchange. So an exchange is, that word starts with an E. And so the edge starts with an E, is going to be the first guy to go, and then the defensive tackle is going to loop around to end up on the edge. So they're essentially going to switch places, but the exchange lets you know that the defensive end is going to slant in towards the left guard to try to suck Mekhi Becton in. And then when the defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, loops around, there's hopes that, it's just a vacant spot and Mekhi Becton is not in his gap and he can penetrate the gap to get to the quarterback. And so from this side here, I put in fast, not really fast motion, I guess normal speed, and we'll look at it from the end zone view. But you could see the twist that happens there, and Mekhi Becton's able to handle it. Sam Darnold gets out of the pocket. He doesn't need to here. It's blocked up pretty well all around. And that's an incomplete pass, no good. But overall, for Becton's purposes, he handles this really well. First game of his NFL career, like I mentioned, I wanted 2 clips, but one obviously to show the strength, and then 2, he obviously understands what he needs to do as a left tackle. He's not getting sucked in, by this stunt here, and he's able to take on Ed Oliver. And you'll see from the end zone view, he kind of gets a little help at the end here. But Ed Oliver winds up on the ground, which is where we want to see the defensive tackles and the defensive ends. And so I put it in slow motion here. You can see the slant by Jerry Hughes. I believe that's 55. And Mekhi Becton has his head up. He sees Ed Oliver coming, and he's able to engage. He stays low, knees bent, ass down like you're sitting on a chair almost. For him, it's a really big chair. But he's got his knees bent, and he's getting Ed Oliver inside. So the hands are inside. He's able to control leverage essentially, and he's going to end up with some help from a left guard. But either way, if he didn't receive the help, he's handling Ed Oliver pretty well. And so first 2 plays, I just wanted to kind of show off the strength. A highlight play, even though the play resulted in a negative, still a really good play, because at some point the Jets are going to get a run game going. And when he makes a block like that, like we saw in the first play, it's going to result in a really big gain. And it's going to be kind of put on his highlight tape. And then here, You just have to be able to handle the stunts. Buffalo is going to have a good defense. They're going to be a good team from year after year. And so Mekhi showing he can handle that in his first start, his first NFL start. Pretty big time to be able to handle a player like that. You got Jerry Hughes and Ed Oliver on your side, and all of a sudden you see him stunting. It looks easy when you're looking at it in slow motion, but when that ball is snapped on Sunday, it's going to happen in the blink of an eye. Of average NFL play, I would probably say is 4 to 5 seconds long, if that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it's happening really fast. And so I was pretty impressed with Becton off the bat here.
First career game, like you mentioned, so having the wherewithal to pick up that stunt, as you mentioned, or that exchange, pretty good look there for him. And again, it just makes me think about Douglas in his office when he was, I can't remember if it was, I think it was after the draft, and he was talking about Becton, and he had clips of him while he was watching with his clicker, and he just kept talking about how people were always on the ground after he made contact. And there's one dude on the ground on this play, and it was Becton, and it's Becton's guy. He's on his face on the turf. It's just pretty cool. Grant Root saying, hell of an off-platform throw, though.
I mean, I have my whole other thoughts on the play in general, but I'll leave that. I kind of talked about Sam a little too much last time, so we're beyond that.
Yep.
All right, so the third play here, this was a really cool play because I tried to find a play that would kind of simulate the run scheme that we might. That we're gonna see this year. And so I kept trying to find it, and it was a little far in between. But Becton, obviously the left tackle here, and the Jets they're gonna run it's gonna be an outside zone. You can call it a wide zone. The difference between the two is not very much. It's just kind of coaching tree type of stuff. But it's gonna be an outside zone left. So now we're going to Becton's side, and when we go to Becton's side, good things happen, and it's actually Ty Johnson in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
And not in the background, in the backfield. I'm sorry.
That's my guy.
Yeah, and he ran for, I think it was 104 yards in this game.
Yes.
And he was really successful. This is kind of the game where okay, well, this is a lot better than watching Frank Gore try to run the football. And so here, Mekhi Becton does a really good job. His job here is this defensive end. That's Clelin Ferrell, who is another top pick. Whether or not you believe he should have been is another thing. But once again, top pick, played at a powerhouse Clemson, was really successful there. And he doesn't put Clelin Ferrell on his behind this time around. But what he needs to do is he needs to get him outside. And so Mekhi Becton, he gets on the move. So you're going to see the entire offensive line go horizontal because the run scheme that we're going to run, it's a horizontal run scheme. It's sideline to sideline. We're trying to get guys moving from left and right, trying to tire out defensive tackles. And so here it ends up being a gain of 9, but you can see right off the bat, Mekhi Becton is quick off of his feet. He's explosive out of his stance, and he's able to do what he's supposed to, and that's get Clelin Ferrell out of the play. So he engages there, and he does. He kind of throws them. Sometimes I wish he would just kind of hold on to guys and just kind of take them for a ride. But this works, too, if this is what you're going to do. He just throws them out and, 5 or 6 yards, away from the line. He opens up this hole for Ty Johnson. I mean, this hole is as big as it is because Mekhi Becton is doing his job, and he's moving people out of the way just like he's supposed to. And so this is a nice gain of 9, probably a play that we're going to see quite often this upcoming year. So I was hoping to kind of get it, and I won't take up much time on the end zone view, but just so you guys can see how the play is ultimately going to work. It's a pretty interesting kind of play to add in here because I think we're going to find it quite often in the 2021 season here. So it's pretty exciting stuff, and nice little run there by Ty Johnson. Hit the hole, make your decision, and go. Nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton's going to open up the lane, and when he opens up the lane, just run right through it.
Yep. And didn't really hesitate, which is nice. The one thing I was going to add is even though Clelin Ferrell was pretty much overdrafted, he actually got the best Becton. It was this past season, I believe, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Becton's had his in kind of pass pro, and we're gonna see one of them I think next. Um, but he's had his kind of not his fair share, but he had his struggles here and there in kind of in the pass protection aspect.
Yep. And I was just thinking, like, you know, he makes this look very, very easy on this play. He really does get him, like you said, out of the play very, very fast. And so that left side's just wide open. So pretty awesome stuff. And you said you have an end zone shot here of this play?
Yeah, I do. I have the end zone shot, and it's in slow motion. So really, what you're going to see is Becton's obviously responsible for the end there.
Yeah.
And the defensive tackle is who's going to be the most important person when we're trying to run this run scheme here. You see Connor McGovern gets over the left guard. He gets over to the linebacker. But what Ty Johnson's really kind of going to do is obviously if that hole opens up, you hit it. But you're kind of reading that defensive tackle. If he gets over the top of Connor McGovern and Ty Johnson can't get to the outside, then he's going to try to find the hole and cut it up. So you can see if you pause it right here, you can see the defensive tackle. You see how his helmet is on the inside?
Mm-hmm.
So his helmet's on the inside. So that means Ty Johnson's like, okay, I can get to the outside here. I can hit my 5 steps and I can just hit the hole. If the defensive tackle on Connor McGovern there is on the other side, right? So his helmet is on the outside, then Ty Johnson's probably going to be looking to try to cut that in. He may not make that hole there. So also, when people tell you the interior offensive line isn't that important, don't listen to them because it is. Because that defensive tackle could very well blow up the entire play if it does not work.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, that's my whole Elijah Vera-Tucker thing anyway. But just, again, we're going to see a lot of those outside runs where the offensive line's going horizontal, and I have complete confidence that if there's an edge there, which there most likely will be, Mekhi Becton's going to be able to do his job and open up that hole on the left-hand side. And for, whether it's Ty Johnson, whether it's Tevin Coleman, whoever it is, we're not going to really have to worry about that player in that run game right there because Becton's going to be able to handle him pretty well. So he was impressive in the run game for sure, because when he gets on the move and he gets that second level, there's some safeties where, they're on ice skates because it's not going to go very well if you drop down in the box. And
No.
and Mekhi Becton's pulling off to that second level. So pretty exciting. And then here, so my thought process on why Mekhi kind of maybe fell to 11, because it was in his draft class, there was 4 offensive linemen, right? Everybody was like, okay, we know these are the top 4. It's just everyone had varying orders and things of that nature. And I think for Mekhi, one of his things was, okay, they didn't really drop back in pass sets very often at Louisville. It was a lot of play action, sort of, things like that. So there wasn't that pass protection reps that some of the other guys had, and Andrew Thomas at Georgia, they're more of a pro style type of offense. And then Louisville, they ran a lot of play action passes. And so it was a little bit, I think, where maybe scouts or GMs just didn't see the reps that they wanted to. But other than that, what Becton, needed to work on was some of his technique. And listen, when you're that big and you're in college, you can likely get away with not poor technique, but maybe a little bit less to where you just need to improve on it. And so here, I like giving plays where there's somebody on the other side of the field that is a stud of and a once in a that's Myles Garrett for sure. So I watched pretty closely against Myles Garrett. He had his wins, and Mekhi Becton had his wins, and we're going to go kind of back and forth here. The last 2 plays is going to be a rep where Mekhi Becton didn't do so great against Myles Garrett, and then another one where you could just see the complete difference, and Mekhi Becton wound up being successful in stopping Myles Garrett on the play. And so here, Mekhi Becton, we can kind of run it here. Maybe it might be easier to kind of do it from the end zone view, but ultimately you're going to see Myles Garrett get on the edge, and he's going to beat Mekhi pretty cleanly and then knock the ball right out of Sam Darnold's hand. It ended up being an incomplete pass. They didn't rule it a fumble. But Myles Garrett gets in here fast. That's just what he does, right? That's what he does. It's going to happen. This is going to be something that we'll see happen to Mekhi Becton. But from the end zone view here, first you can see Becton is really wide in his stance, right? And so when you're wide, it's really hard for you to get a good base. Because if you think about it, the wider your feet are, right? If you're just thinking like right now, I'm just doing it kind of underneath the table. And Garrett, yeah, he's about a 7. I'd probably give him about a 7 technique there. If you think about Becton, at the end of Becton is a 5. If we put a tight end out there, probably about I'd probably say a 7 technique. Maybe even a 9 technique is like really, really wide. But I'd probably go with a 7 there. And I could be wrong. That could be misinterpreted, but that's my thought process there. Because at the end of Mekhi is a 5 technique, and if we put a tight end there, let's just think about like a ghost tight end, right? Where would a tight end be if he was sitting next to Mekhi? Right there. So right outside of him, I'd probably go with a 7. But 9 is not very far off. And so for Mekhi, right, and I'm kind of doing it underneath the table here if you guys follow along, but the further apart your feet are, if you had to step back, right, Mekhi's going to have to come back. He's going to have to step back here. It's going to be hard to get depth immediately because you can't really move any further unless you were able to put your feet closer and really push off that right foot and able to get depth. So he's a little bit wide here, which is kind of where it goes wrong from the start because of how fast Myles Garrett is. He's not able to recover. And then he gets a little vertical. And by what I mean a little vertical is he lets Myles Garrett kind of get inside without getting any hands on him. And so now here in this spot right here, Myles Garrett has all the momentum. Mekhi is really kind of facing the sideline. And when Mekhi is facing the sideline, he's trying to get he's going to try to make contact in, about a half a second here, but he really just gets his elbow and his shoulder. And so with a guy like Myles Garrett, he's going to shrug that off. He doesn't care if you're 6'7", 365 pounds. He's going to shrug that off and rip through with that right arm and get to the quarterback. And you see where Mekhi is right now. He's just flat out beat.
Yep.
And it kind of starts from the top in terms of his base was really wide. He wasn't able to get the depth he needed. And because of that, he was late to making contact. And Myles Garrett's just going to win that rep every single time.
Well, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. And we've got a couple of comments and questions here. If you watch his very first step, he doesn't really get that far back. I mean, is it half a yard, something like that? I mean, I don't know what they typically want them to do here, but it doesn't appear that he gets very far off with that. Like you kind of said, the wide base isn't going to allow him to really get off.
Right.
It looks like maybe a yard, half a yard, something like that. So yeah, from the beginning, he was just kind of not in the proper setup. Coaching, experience, these things will help him.
Absolutely.
And again, if you're saying he won, some of these matchups or some of these reps versus Myles Garrett, I would imagine that the biggest thing would be is he needs to get his hands on Myles Garrett in order to really strike him. Kind of like you mentioned again, he's already lost once he's facing the sideline right here because like you said, he doesn't really get enough contact. He just kind of hits him like on the hand, shoulder area. And so Myles Garrett is a edge rusher, is a threat with his speed, but he's also just a big dude. That's why he's like a unicorn edge rusher. He's just a freak. So good analysis. Let's get to some of these comments. Edmund threw in the question, and this is probably my fault. I'll take full credit because I had said that Becton, me concerned over Becton's, status is kind of like a parent being concerned over their child's well-being. So I was nervous about Becton because I do feel very, very confident in him this coming season. So do you think there is a issue? I personally don't anymore.
No, I don't think there's an issue. And I think Coach Saleh handled it pretty well in terms of, listen, we know this guy, he's not like everybody else. And I don't mean that because he's better than everybody else. It's just there's not a lot of guys his size that, his body's going to react differently. It's like, if you're using a basketball analogy, the 7'3", 7'4" guy, the Porzingises of the world, if they get an injury, it may take them some more, especially like a knee injury, it may take them some more time just to recover and kind of get back. And so Mekhi kind of had this foot thing going on. I think it was his foot plantar fasciitis maybe, or something along that line. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I think that's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for him, it's just letting him kind of get off of his feet during not a training camp, but a OTA type of situation. And I think people ran with it in terms of, okay, is he going to be ready for training camp? Is it because he's out of shape? Are the Jets going to have to keep an eye on him? And they are going to have to keep an eye on him. But I don't think it's as much of an issue as maybe, you first get that notification of, oh, my God, Mekhi Becton missed OTAs today. What's going to happen? I think it's more so they handled it pretty correctly. Just get him off of his feet. He's working out. We see he's working out. I mean, he's working out with Duke Mayweather, who seems to be working out the best offensive lineman in the league.
Yeah, Teron Arms
and
Saints, right? Teron Arms.
Yeah. I think that video was today, and they those two guys were kind of going over some technique and stuff, which is really exciting to see, because he's just going to learn a whole lot. That 5 minutes could make the difference in a lot of things that he might be able to do this year. I know it's just 5 minutes, but that one tip, that one light bulb goes off, it could change a lot in someone's technique. And Mekhi can use the advice. Obviously, any young offensive lineman can, but I don't think we'd be seeing him kind of working out like we have been in that shape if there was a serious problem. So I think he's going to be fine. We're just going to have to understand that he's not like everybody else. That's all.
I think that's a great take, and I think that's the way you have to look at it moving forward as well, myself included. So let's see here.
All right, so this is the good stuff.
All right, great. Let's do it. Let's get some Myles Garrett domination here, or I guess Becton dominating him.
Yeah, so this is one a little bit later in the game. Now Mekhi is going to win this rep, and when we watch it from the end zone view, you're going to see from the very beginning, the base is just a ton different. And so if you want to play it here. He's a little bit more deliberate in his drop step as well. You could see right there. He came off way different right there than he did in the previous rep. He's explosive right off. He's pushing off that right foot, and he's able to get a little bit more depth quicker. But you can see right even from here, he's not as vertical in his drop as he was in the last one. Because when he was going back vertical, it took him longer to engage with Myles Garrett. So if you go more to that 45-degree angle, right, he's able to now to first of all push off that right foot and get depth quicker, but also get depth in that 45-degree angle. So now I'm not facing the sidelines squared away, and I'm only going to be able to reach his right shoulder and touch him. I'm now squared up with Myles Garrett, and I can get my hands inside, and I can control him. He's obviously a freak as well, but with that kind of size, Mekhi Becton's going to be able to even handle the strongest people or the strongest players that he'll see in the NFL. And so it was a great rep by Mekhi Becton to kind of just improve. Right, we're not asking him to be an all pro in his game against Myles Garrett. But, when you see somebody get beat, I kind of I think I talked about it with Bryce Hall as well the last time we kind of did it. A left tackle is kind of one of those spots where when the play goes wrong and it's a sack on the quarterback, usually the people watching the television are going to be like, okay, well, Mekhi Becton, got beat there. It's pretty easy to see. We're able to see it. So there's that pressure on him to have a short memory of last couple quarters. Myles Garrett kind of got the best of me here and there. Now he's lining up in that same technique. Now I have to do a lot better, and he's kind of able to improve. And so you see it there, and he does kind of spin away at the end here, but again, I try not to get into the whole Sam Darnold thing, but we got a guy running wide open on the 40-yard line to the bottom of the screen in a pretty good pocket there.
Yeah.
Cleveland's just playing his own. You just got to hit that dump off and don't run out of bounds. Just throw it out of bounds. So I mean, right, Myles Garrett spins away, but he's spinning away because Sam is rolling out of the pocket and Mekhi can't, get him all the way over there. But, for the purposes of the rep in terms of, if the quarterback gets the ball out quick, Myles Garrett's kind of stagnant in this year. And it's all because Mekhi Becton improved his technique despite the caliber player that's kind of on the other side of him there playing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that this is not why we're doing this film breakdown, but because I see so his eyes are left, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
His eyes are left here, correct? Like he's looking left.
Yeah.
There's only two DBs here. The running back's running the flat. The flat is wide open, in my opinion, right? Like, I mean, if at least a quick couple of yards there, if he gets the ball out fast, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a DB there playing a zone, and so maybe it's not going to get a 20-yard gain or anything like that. But if he had thrown it right here, that guy could have missed the tackle. Like, I don't know.
So. Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, because once you see guys dropping, especially with it looked like a cover 3 to me. And so there is somebody that's responsible for the flat in a cover 3. There's someone responsible for a flat in cover 2, the whole thing. But when you see that corner dropping, you're looking left, you see that corner dropping to a deep third, you kind of get your eyes down to, I'm not sure if he's a safety or if he looks like maybe a nickel or a defensive back, but he's dropping down to that 50 there, down to the midfield point. When you see him dropping too, you just get it out into the flat. And then, the best thing that you can do is just put the ball in the hands of a receiver, of a running back. And listen, you're exactly right. What if he breaks a tackle there? What if he breaks 2 tackles there? You're never going to know if you don't get him the ball.
Right there.
And so here, right there, as soon as he saw guys dropping, he's looking left. As soon as you see those dropping, get it to the flat, get it out quick. And maybe you move the chains, but maybe even so, it's not 3rd and 9. Maybe it's 3rd and 4 instead.
Right.
And so that's kind of You're right.
Don't want to
when you're looking.
I just saw it and I thought I should say something. Very quickly, just want to welcome Big Money, Big Money Smith Jones. He is new to the channel. I don't recall seeing you in the chat before, so welcome. He says the Jets are going to go 18-0. So hot damn, let's do it. 18-0. We need to go 17-0, and then we'll win our games in the playoffs. But yeah, welcome to the channel, dude. We're gonna go ahead and go to the last play, I believe.
Yeah. So the last one is just the end zone view of this here. So right off the bat, you can see. Look at Mekhi's base. Right, he's got his feet under him. He's not as wide as the previous play. And so he's able to just, boom, move right out of there. He's got way more depth. You pointed out the depth the last time. He's got way more depth, but now he's not as vertical. He wasn't as vertical. He was able to engage Myles Garrett a lot quicker. And look where his hands are. They're inside. They're not on the shoulders. He's got his left arm on the inside, and he's able to control Myles Garrett. Sam's got all the time in the world. That's what you want to see. Zach will have all the time in the world here. I'll use that name instead. Zach will have all the time in the world there to get the ball out and make a decision. So just a really big improvement just, within the game. And that's going to happen, if we go against, Myles Garrett or a TJ Watt or whoever it's going to be this year, and they're up against Mekhi Becton. There's going to be a play where he gets beat. Listen, he's not going to be perfect, but he shows all the signs that he can be a dominant player. And I think with this scheme, he'll take himself up to that, take himself up a category with some of the better tackles in all football.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think there's been a lot of people talking about it in the chat. I think Elijah Vera-Tucker and him next to each other, we've known this since the draft night, but everybody's just salivating at the thought of these two next to each other. It's going to be very, very exciting to see week 1. I think we will see their potential, even though we talked about how chemistry is going to take time to build. We're going to see their the capability that they have, the ability that they have to make an impact on that left side. Edmund, no worries. You're definitely not wrong. I think that's one of Sam's issues, was that he always tried to make a big play, maybe held the ball too long. But you're right. 1-13 at that point in the season. I think you're probably right. He's just trying to make a big play. But that's also kind of why the offense struggled so much moving the chains, is because he was always searching for that big play. So no big deal. I appreciate you disagreeing. It's no worries, no harm, no foul.
No, of course.
Yeah, Vervain, I agree. That Packers game, the Texans game, even the Colts game his rookie year is nice in. We're gonna leave that one alone though. That's a sore subject for us all. Hey Vern, good to see you, my man. We are gonna go on. We did talk about the Moses signing earlier, and you talked a little bit about it. What are do you have any more thoughts? If not, I can kind of touch on it. I've only talked about it a little bit on the channel. Just the overall thoughts. I personally think that it's going to give us the depth that we need. We now finally have somebody that started games last year who is ready on the bench to take over in case there is an injury. It does allow us to have a sixth offensive lineman on the field, which I think is important in this offense. And one more thing I'll say. I think that we have a real shot to be a very, very, very good running football team this season. And I think that this signing, it pushed me over the edge in terms of that belief that we can become a really good running football team. We've only really talked about the left side so far, in this stream. The right side, I think, has the ability, depending on what we get at right guard. Moses can push people around in the running game. He's a really, really good run blocker. So that part's exciting, to think that we won't just have to run left. We can do both sides. What do you think? Anything else you want to add before we get on his film?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because I feel like a lot of the times we always just say, just run left, and we should do that a lot. But it kind of creates an unpredictability of, okay, we don't have to run left. We can rely on the right side of the line as well with Morgan Moses. But listen, for a team that is looking to improve and looking to change a culture, a veteran captain who's reliable and always available to play at the right tackle spot, it's a home run. I do wish it was a multi-year deal. That was just one of my things, just because, I'm kind of nervous, like he'll do really good and then we won't be able to bring him back. But I want him to do good. I don't want him to stink. But I just wish we had him for, maybe that 2-year deal. So it would have been cool. But
I wanted a 2-year deal with him. That's how I kind of viewed it. And I think you're right. If he does play really good, because he had a career year last year, even if he doesn't have as good of a season last year, if he's just, close to that, that's still a really solid right tackle in the NFL. And people mentioned it earlier in the chat. You don't need Pro Bowl offensive linemen at all 5 spots. That's not even realistic. Right. So even if it's just a competent right tackle, that's still a very, very good signing. And I do worry that if he does play well, we might only see him for the one season.
Yeah, my hope is that if he does do really good, that Joe Douglas just doesn't let him hit free agency. We have the money, we have the ability to sign him. I know Joe Douglas is kind of stingent. He has a number in his mind. He likes to stick to it, which is fine. I don't want him to ever put us in a bad situation financially. But my hope is that, not even just, the money aspect, but my hope is that, Saleh kind of shows that this culture change is happening, and it's something that Morgan Moses ultimately winds up wanting to be a part of for a long term.
Yep, I'm agreeing with you on that completely. And like you said, we have the money. There's no reason that if he does play well, we can't pay him more. So we do need a kicker, Braden. We talked a little bit. I was on Green Bean's channel Thursday of last week, and we talked about kicker quite a bit. And Ficken, I'm not gonna try and sit here and say we have a kicker in Ficken, but he might not be awful. He actually has improved the last 2 seasons, each of the last 2 seasons. So I'm hoping. No, I do not have a good boot. That's actually the comment that was making me laugh. I should try out for I do not have a good boot, guys. No. So my left leg, I'm a left-footed kicker. We used to have, actually, at my dad's house, we used to have goalposts, and we used to screw around and kick the football through the goalposts.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot of fun. I'm not any good. No way. Yeah, Ficken be kicking 87%. Hey, man, if he improves again, even if it's just slightly, he's in like the 90% range. And I mean, you would love to have Justin Tucker on your team. Everybody wants that. It's pretty rare. I'm hoping that he can just improve slightly, and then we're not in a situation where it's like, oh, Jesus, like we've got, Vedvik out there kicking and missing extra points, field goals. Anyway, that's a dark place to revisit. So I think we need to wait and see how preseason goes. That will tell a lot, and training camp too. That's something that I like about the training camp notes that you get, is you do hear these reports about how the kickers are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that matters. I think these coaching staffs do track that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure.
87 is better than 86. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. We will move on. I feel just super good about the Moses signing. I think it makes us a tough out. I think it's going to make our offensive line. People aren't going to be looking forward to playing our offensive line, is what I mean to say. And I think it gives us great flexibility, like we've talked a lot about. And again, I think we can be a really good running football team, which is what I want to see us do this year to help support Zach Wilson, the play action game, and so on. Here we are with Morgan Moses.
Yeah, Morgan Moses. I mean, everything's about number 2 back there. That's in the run game. You're exactly right. The run game helps Zach Wilson a ton. If you can run the ball, it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier to throw it. And that creates the play action. And obviously the scheme is just going to help him out altogether. It's a pretty player friendly scheme.
Yep.
This looks like the Steelers versus Alabama. I'm an Alabama fan, so that's a cool comment.
I didn't know that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I grew up and Joe Namath was king in the household. My dad is just as big of a Jeff fan as I am. That's why I'm like this, which is a blessing and maybe a tough road at the same time. But I like the tough road, because when we win, and we will eventually win, it's going to be that much sweeter. So I kind of just grew up with, Joe Namath went to Alabama, and then I was a big A.J. McCarron fan kind of growing up there, and Nick Saban is kind of just a really cool, I guess, like figure. Obviously he's a human, but like you think of him as kind of, this higher up type of figure that is, on top of there with the football god. So I just I'm an Alabama fan, and I'm looking forward to this year. I think they got a chance to repeat here, but that's just.
We got a War Eagle, Auburn War Eagle.
Oh no, that's not good. I don't know, Vervain. I don't know. Bo Nix might be in trouble again this year, so we'll see. But anyway, back to Morgan Moses here. So disclaimer for Morgan Moses. I'm trying to work through as much film as I kind of can here for Morgan Moses. He's pretty new, obviously to the ball club, but I've looked at the Steelers game, which I wanted to get an idea of him against, get a rep against a TJ Watt type of player. And then I watched the Buccaneers playoff game, which he was pretty he was pretty good against both guys. I mean, again, just like we said it with Mekhi Becton, even with a veteran like Morgan Moses, a TJ Watt is going to get in there once or twice. It's just going to happen. And in both games, Washington threw the ball a ton of times. And so I kind of added a lot of passing plays in here, because we have an idea. We know he's a really good run blocker. I think he graded out as the 6th best run blocker in terms of tackles last year. So the pass blocking, it kind of excites me, and why I wanted to do Becton on the same day. Obviously, they're both the tackles, but we're going to see a lot of things here where against that rep Becton had against Mekhi Becton, Morgan Moses does really well, and I think he's going to be able to, to really help Mekhi Becton technique-wise. And so here with TJ Watt, you're going to kind of see, again, good base. He's got a really he's a pretty big guy too, by the way. I think he's 6'6", 330. So he's not as big as Mekhi, but he ain't far off.
He's a big dude, yeah.
Yeah. And so you can tell with the technique, he's been around for a while. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's pretty good at it. The way he kind of gets out of his stance here, it's very quick. It's very deliberate. You kind of like to see the kick step, but what's really the most impressive and what we're going to kind of see in each of the clips here is his grip. Once he gets his hands on you, it's kind of game over, and he does a really good job of getting his hands inside. And so if you play it here, he's just going to wind up contacting TJ Watt here, getting his hands inside. You could see how fast that was, right? I mean, this is normal speed here. The end zone view will be slowed down. But the way he gets to that 45 degrees, almost like we saw against Becton on the rep that he won against Myles Garrett, he gets that 45 degrees and he gets inside. TJ Watt's trying to hand fight. He's trying to knock an elbow to kind of swim move or do whatever move he wants here. And those hands inside, he's able to just drive him outside. That's what we want the left tackle to do. I mean, it's what we want the left tackle to do as well. But if we can get him behind the quarterback, we want the quarterback to be able to step up in the pocket. If the quarterback has to kind of flush out, sometimes it doesn't work as good because the left tackle, the right tackle, Morgan Moses here, he's trying to flush him out. And if the quarterback takes kind of a sprint out type of angle here, and Morgan Moses doesn't know it, it's kind of easier for the end to kind of get around there and get off of him. So really good job of getting back quick in your stance. It's deliberate movement. It's quick. He gets the 45-degree angle. He gets his hands on, and he does not let go. Right. That was one of the things I think I mentioned with Becton was, against Cleveland Farrell, he kind of just shoved them aside rather than taking him by his grip and really moving him where he wants him to go. And so it's just a really efficient kind of an efficient rep here by Morgan Moses to show, really what he's kind of capable of and why he's played, every game for the last 6 years at the right tackle spot in the NFL.
Is it me or did he threw like a little bit of a punch here? Ha!
Yeah, he did, and I had the end zone view as well. And I kind of used the slow motion there, but you can see, obviously, his base is really, I mean, the running back kind of blocks it, but he's not even as wide as Mekhi was on the rep that he won. He's really going to push off that left foot for the right tackle to be the left foot, and he gets his hands inside, and there's just nothing to do. I mean, he's a tad bit high, but listen, he's 6'6". He's going to be high here and there. That's gonna happen. And he kind of TJ Watt's struggling to kind of move almost anywhere here. He tries to get that right arm disengaged off of his shoulder plate pad there. And Moses has just got a really good grip strength. Once he grabs you, once he holds you, he's not gonna let you go. And so that's kind of what we need, right? So it's very easy here to picture that. And then Mekhi Becton kind of handling his business on the other side. And then, Zach's able to step up in the pocket. Obviously, you hope the interior does well. But you can see the Jets are very, very much set on the outsides. And that's going to give Zach a whole lot of time to kind of throw here.
Well, and that's the thing that I try to remind people is we want the running game to be improved, but we also are trying to protect our, number 2 overall quarterback. And I feel of course, if Sam were given more time, he probably would have been more effective. Of course, any quarterback with more time to throw will be more effective. I like the idea of Wilson having more time, being able to throw, stand tall in the pocket, because he is super accurate. I'm just looking forward to seeing him, with time throwing the football. And again, yes, Grant, he definitely is going to need time. Every young quarterback needs time. So it's pretty exciting to think about him with those tackles on the outside, pushing the edge rushers up the field, and then he can have a clean pocket to step up into. That's really what you're looking for in an offensive line. So pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even to kind of just quickly like spin that, because what you're saying is absolutely right. He's going to need time to throw. But to kind of even spin that, I think Zach is also going to help out the offensive line, right? By getting, not taking forever to throw the ball. He's going to get the ball out quick, and it's going to help the offensive line. If you watch the games on Sunday, every time the quarterback is hit, it's never his fault, right? And sometimes you can even see the offensive line. They kind of get, not Jets specific, but sometimes they can get ticked off. Like, hey, listen, I can't block Myles Garrett for 4 seconds. Like, it's just not, you don't need all the time in the world. You just need enough time to make your decision, which you should already kind of be processing from the beginning. And so sometimes the sacks are on the quarterback, and it's not, albeit it looks like it's the offensive lineman's fault on the TV as we're watching the broadcast. But when you kind of sometimes look at it, the quicker you can get it out. I mean, how many times, when we played the Patriots for 20 years that Tom Brady was there, how many times was it just like, hey, we can have the fastest guys on the edge here. They're still not going to get to Brady. And it's not because of the offensive line. It's because the ball is just coming out immediately. And so I think, I'm not saying Zach's going to get the ball out like Tom Brady in year one, but I'm just saying I think he's going to get the ball out faster than we've probably seen it over the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, and I don't want to stop you here in your film breakdown, but you're a Jets X Factor contributor, and one of the things that I watched, Robbie Sabo talked about, because he went to the OTAs, and he specifically about that, was that there was a big jump. And again, we're not trying to stick here, and I know people are tired of talking about Darnold, but again, going from Darnold to Zach Wilson, he had mentioned that there was a notable difference in the processing, the ball coming out much, much faster. It would be really nice if that was what our offense looked like moving forward. Just tempo, and getting the ball out quickly, making your decisions fast. That's what we want. I mean, I feel like Jets fans don't even know. Like, we don't even know what that looks like for our guys to do those types of things. But you're right. Brady has made a career and the greatest of all time quarterback out of exactly that. Timely, getting the ball out very, very quickly. So yeah. Anyways, let's see.
Yes. So no, you're totally right. And it's a great point.
Technically, I think
Grant.
I think I've brought him up more than you have, to be fair.
Well, and it is kind of hard just because, like, in these clips, and at some point we're going to have brand new clips that he's not, but when you're watching Mekhi Becton and Denzel Mims and all these guys from 2019, it's just kind of inherent that you're going to see something that you're like, damn, I remember that, and it just was not good. Exactly. But soon here we're going to get that preseason film going, and it's going to be number 2 back there, and we're going to see what he's got in the preseason and the regular season. So that'll fade away, Grant, I promise.
If you guys didn't know that, we will be doing on Wednesdays. James is going to be a weekly participant. I mean, there's a couple of weeks where he's not able to make it, and that's just, that's fine. That's the way life works sometimes. But he's going to be doing analysis on the games that we just watched. And that's the exciting part for the channel, is it's not just going to be us talking. It's also going to be a way to see what went down during these games. So anyway, let's get back to Moses.
So, and back to Morgan Moses. So this play, pretty cool design. So this, in my opinion, is an RPO, a run pass option. There's 1,000, a million different kind of variations. And to me, in my opinion, this is one of them. So this is a little bit of a run. It looks like a run block, but it ultimately ends up being a pass. So basically for the Washington football team here, they have that receiver in motion, and it's going to be a play action. And my guess is that the quarterback here is going to be reading the middle linebacker. If he follows the wide receiver, then you're going to hand that ball off. And if he doesn't, which he doesn't here, this wide receiver now is kind of wide open. That linebacker really gets no depth. Quarterback ends up pulling it and he throws it down and it's a completion. But Morgan Moses' purposes, you can see right there, JPP is on his behind. And really what it is, it's that grip. The grip. I just made up my own word. It's the grip, right? He gets quick right out of his stance. He's explosive out of his stance. He's squared up with JPP right now, and he's in a perfect spot to get his hands inside, right? He's trying to get his hands on those on the shoulder pads, right? Not the outside of the shoulder pads, the chest of the shoulder pads. And once he does, he's just not going to let you go. And here he has enough power where he's able to put, I know JPP had the whole firework incident and things like that, but turned out to be a pretty damn good player even after that. Still a strong player. But you can see here the most impressive piece about Morgan Moses so far and what I've watched is when he gets his hands on you, he doesn't let go. And that quarterback back there has a ton of time. He also has a ton of vision, right? So he's contacting JPP within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage there. And so when the quarterback is throwing right, he has a lot more vision in this situation rather than him blocking JPP, but JPP kind of putting him in the quarterback's lap, right? So kind of a really cool, horizontal run type of look, right? Because in this situation, the lineman can't be downfield because if the quarterback does throw it, then it's an illegal man downfield and the whole RPO thing doesn't work in the first place. And so here he's kind of essentially has to run block. But you're going to see here, again, good base, wide receiver motions over. You can see the quarterback's kind of looking at the middle linebacker there. But for Morgan Moses' purposes, he's got JPP kind of right where he wants him. Hand kind of outside initially. But you can see he kind of reorganizes that right hand and just tosses him to the ground like, we've seen Mekhi Becton do. And so I think on the left hand and the right hand side, we're going to be seeing a lot of guys on the floor there, on their backside, pancakes or just being able to drive guys downfield. And I think one of the comments before was Moses is going to make Becton better. And I think it's true because of the size similarity. And also just a veteran presence of, technique-wise, this is what you can do to improve. Because if Mekhi Becton can start getting his hands on guys, then he's going to take it to a whole kind of other level. So again, patience. He'll become elite by year 2. Of course. I think at some point he's going to get to that top near elite status. And for us, it's just kind of waiting for him to get there because I think he will.
Awesome. All right, cool. This is a new play. I don't think there's a chat that I need to refer to. They're all going back and forth about fetishes because they were talking about the Rex Ryan days. And then we got this comment about I have a fetish for eating black olives on pizza. I think we all have a fetish for eating pizza in general. So I think we all have.
Yeah, the black olives thing. I don't think I've ever heard about that, but hey, listen, if you like it, just go for it. Do what you enjoy.
Oh my gosh, this is all right. Whenever you're good.
Yeah, so same play, not the same play. I'm sorry, same game, but here we got Shaquille Barrett coming off the edge, and again, just very very similar. This time, what's going to happen is Shaquille Barrett's going to try to get inside, and it's going to force Tyler Heinicke to kind of, he doesn't boot out of here because of Morgan Moses. He boots out because of the interior pressure. But here, Morgan Moses, again, a little bit different of an edge rusher than your JPP, who's a little bit more strength driven right now. And Shaquille Barrett kind of gets you off the edge. But again, just another impressive play to kind of control the guy coming off the edge, right? That's all we want. And he's pretty consistent, right? Consistent is the key to everything. Sure, he's going to have his play here and there. I don't want you to watch games on Sunday and be like, hey, Morgan Moses just got beat. James said that never happens. It's going to happen. But for the most part, he's really consistent in his technique, and it allows him to win. I mean, you just think back to this game in general. Tyler Heinicke played pretty well. But you think about the teams that and what Tampa Bay did to some of these teams in the playoffs. This offensive line played pretty well for their quarterback here, and Morgan Moses was a big part of that. So I'm looking forward to him bringing this kind of. We saw Zach like to roll to his right. We've seen Zach, try to get out of the pocket, move up, step in, and roll out. And he's going to be able to do that on his right-hand side. Obviously, he has to do it within not the scheme of the play itself, but he has to be in sync with Morgan Moses. That kind of stuff matters in terms of whether he steps up in the pocket or he gets out of there and rolls right. It's kind of based on what the edge does and how Morgan Moses kind of blocks it. That's a whole other kind of story. I don't want to go into that now because I know we're not pressed on time, but we want it to be a little bit quicker here. So, but that's all. When we get into the Zach, preseason stuff, I'll kind of go through that because we'll see them actually working together. But and then from the back end view, it's just the same kind of technician that we saw, and this was a nice big play there for the Washington football team there. But obviously,
go ahead. Quickly throw in there that Shaq Barrett is no slouch. I mean, he kind of redefined his career because he wasn't really doing a whole lot early on, and he's really come on now. Just got his big payday, so this is no slouch of a defender. So just wanted to.
I think he had over 17 sacks last year. I want to say something along those lines. But again, in terms of Morgan Moses, you can see him. He's just super deliberate, like in his movement. I love when I see kind of the drop step. He knows exactly where he needs to be. He's looking directly at Shaquille Barrett right here. Mm-hmm. And he's quick, 45-degree angle, so he can create that contact. Left arm goes right on the interior. And once that left arm goes, the rep for Shaquille Barrett's basically over. He's not going to, he's trying to push Morgan Moses back there, and he loses total track of the quarterback, which is, again, great for the quarterback there and also for the offense. If you could get the guy to kind of lose track and just try to beat you on that power, bull rush move to the inside, and he loses track of the quarterback, Zach's rolling out, and he's got free reign to throw on the run like he likes to. So just really superior technique here for the last three or four plays, whatever number we're on now for Morgan Moses.
Yeah, this is very impressive. The footwork seems pretty strong too, and you mentioned the chair thing. It doesn't quite look like maybe he's low enough, but I think that this is better than that other rep we were watching. But the feet are nice. I feel like he keeps his feet under him the whole time, never loses balance. So I'm not an expert. Right. I'm not an expert in offensive line, technique, but that looked to be very, very clean there.
No, yeah. No, I'm no expert in offensive line. I'm learning offensive line stuff, and this one's fun. Oops. I don't know if you were able to just get a glimpse of that, but so here's like my highlight for Morgan Moses here. Again, you mentioned it, the power too, right? He has that power. He has that ability to kind of run someone over, put him on their behind, get the pancake. So actually here, Shaquille Barrett is going to wind up dropping in coverage.
And I gotta answer that question.
He's gonna wind up dropping.
It just hits too close to home. Anyway, sorry.
So he's gonna wind up dropping, and so what happens is Morgan Moses doesn't have work, right? So what's he gonna do? He's gonna help out his left guard, who here. Let's put Greg Van Roten one-on-one. Right, we're in a situation. Greg Van Rotten's one-on-one with Nadam. That's Ndamukong Suh, by the way. So that's no reserve kind of tackle. Ndamukong Suh is one of the most dominant. He was one of the most dominant college football players probably we've maybe even ever seen on the defensive side of the football. And he was no slouch in his NFL career too. Obviously, he's jumping from place to place, but I don't know if that's so much about his play. And there's a lot of personality things that people say anyway. I can't confirm that. Sure. But he seems to be jumping from locker room to locker room. And here, he's just going to help out his right guard, who, we're probably presuming that our right guard's going to need a lot of help. So when your guy drops, find work. And here he found work, and he found it at the expense of Ndamukong Suh. And that's just a play right now. You look at your Zach, nothing's open. Morgan Moses just put Ndamukong Suh on his butt, and you don't gain a lot of yards, but it's not a negative play. And right, that's what we're trying to eliminate. What we've seen a lot, we're trying to eliminate the negative. If it's not there, right, he's got the ability that, okay, even if Tyler Heineke didn't want to scramble here and he kind of just wanted to sit there and maybe wait for something to open up, a guy like Morgan Moses just afforded him that ability near the red zone, and hopefully we're putting 6 on the board more than we're just, kicking field goals. Hopefully Ficken's kicking a lot more extra points than he is field goals this year, and we don't have to worry too much about the field goal game. But obviously it's a huge part of the game. But
correct me
you
if
know what I
I'm
mean.
wrong. This dude should have held the ball. There was only 2 men up on him rushing here, and the line is completely got everything.
Yeah. I don't know if he. Yeah, I mean, he seemed to be a runner throughout the game. He made some pretty nifty moves with his feet. So I don't know if he was wondering maybe I can grab, maybe I can grab a yard or two, or maybe I could, make something happen. But yeah, and it's kind of hard. I couldn't see the route combination there. But yeah, and he could have even dumped it off to Antonio Gibson, who was at the 5-yard line right there.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Right off the bat.
Right here, bang, throw it.
Right there.
Yep.
But, Tyler Heineke, for a guy who didn't play much football to all of a sudden go against Tom Brady, he did pretty good. I'm pretty excited about him. I think there might be some training camp battle there. So
yep.
Yeah. Edmund's right. They did almost win this game.
It was very, very close.
I mean, it kind of never felt that they were gonna win it, but it was way closer than I think anybody was initially thinking.
Exactly. All right, omelet, avocado, mushroom, onion, jalapeno pepper jack cheese. Let's go.
Wow.
That's all I need.
Wow.
So I guess
that's a loaded omelet there.
Yeah, it's like a California, I guess, but spicy. It's delicious. That's all I know. All right. That is going to conclude the analysis. Thank you so much to James, excuse me. I was a Washington fan for 4+ hours. Yeah, that's right. A Californian. Yep, that's me. I do like a Californian omelet for sure, no doubt. Yeah, eggs, you jackass. Yes, eggs. Yeah, I do. We go to a place that's close to us, and they make a fantastic omelet, and it takes them like literally 5 minutes to pump them out. I don't know how they do it so fast. You order it, you sit there for like 2 minutes, and you talk to each other, and the food's just there. Anyways. Yeah. Thank you very much, James, for coming on. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoyed the film breakdown. If you're not watching this live and you're watching it afterwards, I hope you guys enjoy as well. Just a couple of quick announcements here. I will be interviewing Victor Green on Monday, and that will be posted sometime at the beginning of training camp, so you guys can look forward to that. Don't forget, if you're watching this after the stream, that we are giving away a signed Wayne Chrebet mini helmet. If you guys are interested in winning a prize and giving yourself a shot, go ahead and subscribe, support the channel. Everybody wins in that circumstance. Thank you very much, Frankie. Appreciate the compliment. All kudos go to James. I am just the organizer here. And then also this weekend, and the next couple of weekends, guys, I've got a bunch of videos coming out, and I'm just going to showcase them real quick for you. So the Keys to Success series is winding down this weekend. We're going to get Keys to Success Volume 7, Wilson's Development. Obviously, that has got to be one of them. And then this weekend, I've got a new series to the channel. 2 new videos coming out. We've got training camp battles, Elijah Moore versus Jamison Crowder. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Elijah Moore is just a slot wide receiver. It is still a competition, though, for reps. And also we have this battle as well, Blasson Austin versus Jason Pinnock. They're going to be battling for an outside, cornerback job. And so if you're interested in catching those videos, they will be posted this weekend and for the next couple of weekends as we creep closer and closer to training camp. Yes, it's already over. I know. We could talk a little bit more. Again, the topics are slim to none at this point. We are all just in speculation mode, and I am trying my best to make sure, because like I said, I am going on vacation in a couple of weeks, and I wanted to make sure that you guys have content while I'm away. So I am feverishly recording and uploading stuff so that it is ready for you guys to watch while I am away. I'm also going to go live, I hope, because I hope to have 1,000 subscribers. We're going to be in Disney World. I hope to go live in Disney World. That would be kind of cool. Thank you, Matthias. Appreciate it. Thank you to Robbie Oak as well. He's always lurking, that Robbie Oak. I can't wait till it's the season, because then he has no excuse. He has to be here. You can't skip out on our live streams once the season begins. When we start winning football games, you have to be here, Robbie Oak. No choice. Edmund says, ask Victor how it felt to go from the worst team to a playoff team in just a few seasons. Yeah. Victor's got 5 fan mail or mailbag questions. I've already stopped taking those. I feel like the 5 that I got are pretty good. I'm pretty hyped about it, though. It's going to be pretty fun. Yeah. Gitmo, I don't know if that's true. Bless on Austin. He's going to have to earn his spot. I don't know if he's going to get cut. We'll see. I mean, there's a ton of young players that could take his spot, but we'll wait and see on that one. All right. That's all I got. James, thank you so much for hanging out with me. James will be back.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, dude. James will be back the Wednesday after the first preseason game, and we will break that down. Go Jets, guys, and see you guys next time. Word from my
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yep. Where's my girl? Hold on a second. Here she is. Go Jets, guys. Have a good night.